What's he do?
Barton Norton, he is a nursing home administrator and he's running for school board in District 4. He,
Do I know him?
probably. You know, my daddy had the carpet store down there on South Lee Highway.
Yeah, I knew you. Yeah.
And then,
Does Bartley work at L&B?
no, that's Josh.
Josh,
Taylor.
yeah.
That's Josh Taylor. He's running against him and Chuck Evans. So.
Oh. Well, somebody told me your brother was running,
Bartley Norton.
but they said he worked at L&B, so they
No,
got
that's
that
Josh.
all mixed up.
They're good friends.
Yeah. Are they running against each other?
Yeah, they didn't know each other was running till like
Oh.
at the very end, and then they're like, oh, well, whoever wins, it's going to be a great thing. So,
That's nice, isn't it?
yeah. And then Chuck Evans, so any of the three that win that one is going to be really
Chuck
good.
Evans, the guy that worked at Bowaters.
Mhm.
Boy, I would hate to run for public office.
It's not fun.
It seems to me like it would be really, really hard.
Very.
Do you think that, now you're from Meigs County originally, right? Or
Red Bank.
Red Bank.
Born
How'd
and
you get
raised
to
in Red
Cleveland?
Bank. Long way around. Born and raised in Red Bank. Went to Knoxville for college, UT. Graduated from there. Went to the Florida DOT. Worked down there for 7.5 years doing road and bridge construction. Then when I moved back to Chattanooga, I moved to Decatur because that's where my mother was.
Oh, that's where I got the Meigs County.
And then I worked for that consultant for a while, and then I worked for the city of Chattanooga as their engineering design manager, and then moved to Bradley County as the engineer. And
Was that downtown Chattanooga?
yes. That's their
Upstairs?
courthouse, yes. Yeah,
It's different there now, isn't it?
big time.
Tony Kinder's there now, right?
Yes.
What's he do there?
He's over there like the stormwater.
Stormwater, yeah.
Stormwater, stuff like that.
You know, I went down there I was building a building in Chattanooga, and they had some big fancy meeting. I wasn't familiar with it because we're not that formal here, and I didn't realize that I was supposed to have all this paperwork, so I was just sitting there like this, and they could tell that I wasn't prepared, and I saw a shadow walk by the door. And the guy backed up and said, "Hey, Dee, when you get done, come in and talk to me a minute. I hadn't seen you in a while." And I didn't know who it was. I said, "Who was it?" They said, "Oh, it's Tony Kinder." I said, "Oh, yeah, he works." I said, "What does he do here?" They said, "He's over everything." And I had the red carpet for the rest of the job.
That's good.
So you never know, do you?
Right.
But you said you came all the way from next to the Georgia line?
Yeah, we live down on Samples Chapel Road.
Well, that's a long ways, isn't it?
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get here?
20 minutes, 25 minutes.
Golly.
Depends on traffic.
Samples Chapel Road.
Of course, the way our traffic here is lately, then takes a lot longer to get in.
Which way did you come? Get hit Dalton Pike and come up?
Straight up Spring Place, around the bypass,
Mm.
and then hit Ocoee Street.
Boy, Cleveland's just getting out of hand, isn't it?
Very. Very.
I mean-
Paul Huff Parkway and Mouse Creek Road.
And subdivisions, they say there's 2,000 houses on the way that supposedly we need.
That's what makes it hard too. A lot of them being townhouses and going with the higher density development and putting more traffic on the roads and, doubling your traffic where you can put 2 and 3 and 4 houses on one lot with the townhomes.
All of that's to save land cost. Really, that's all it is, right?
Save land costs, but it ups the road usage. So
But as far as construction cost, it really doesn't save anything because a firewall is more expensive than an exterior wall. So all it's saving is the land, in my opinion,
for the developer.
for the developer. But I don't know if, I just never was big into high density. I'm a little claustrophobic, so,
You couldn't live around here too much places. So
and we're not near as, I heard somebody say that when Volkswagen came that within 5 years you wouldn't know Cleveland, and it's been about 3. I don't remember who told me that, but they were pretty right.
everywhere.
Now down on Samples Chapel Road, it's not busy, right?
No, No, it's more, we got chicken houses and farmland, cows, things like that still down that way. Mainly because there's no sewer. You know, you're still on septic systems out that far.
Septic systems are another problem, aren't they?
Yes. But Ocoee Utilities now is providing a sewer system. So there's Ocoee Utilities and then Cleveland Utilities as far as sewer. Which with Cleveland Utilities, you know, you have to be annexed into the city. And Ocoee Utilities is going out in the county portions.
How are they doing that? Are they doing that with like high grinder pumps, or is it a traditional gravity flow sewer?
They have a traditional gravity flow sewer, and they have the small spot stations that they go through, but they're expanding where they're pretty big.
Now that came up about quick, didn't it?
Yes.
These small stations, who maintains them?
Ocoee Utilities.
Is it on they own the property that it's on?
I'm not sure how all that works. I know they've worked with quite a few developers to do it.
I remember when Ocoee Utilities was just coming about and they put water on Hancock Road. Remember that? That was like a big deal.
Now it's everywhere.
Now they're everywhere. What would we do without them?
Well, try to keep our ditches clean. When they put their water lines in, if we could get them to maintain them and put them back the way they started instead of leaving messes, but they're getting better.
You know, I ride bikes out on that end from Upper River Road to Michigan Avenue over to Benton Pike. And there's a lot of crossways that has white painting on the road that says 7, 8. I assume it's a tile going under the road.
Yeah, on Chatta Valley.
Chatta Valley, yep.
Yes, we've gone in and numbered the tiles that we're going to be replacing before we pave the road. Mm-hmm. That's the big thing. Everybody wants black roads, and you can go in and put black paint on them and make them look pretty, but if underneath them isn't pretty and taken care of, that's a lot of what we're getting into now. We've got a lot of the tiles that have deteriorated, that as the roads were paved before, the substructure wasn't taken care of. So we're having to go back in and change out all the tiles as we go and make it sure that underneath is good before we put the pretty black on top.
We ride out on this one road. I can't remember the name of the road. You go down Benton Pike and you take a left past Old Chatta Valley Road, and it's just a one winding road that goes under trees and very low traffic, and y'all paved it. So, and the guy that I ride bikes with, I was riding yesterday, I said, can you think of any of the roads out here that need paving? And he said, I can't think of any of them.
Well, Chatta Valley does, but we're going to get it hopefully here within the next 3 or 4 months.
It seems fine to me. Is it just the
You're
age?
Age, and you're getting a lot of soft spots where the road's kind of settling, and you want to make sure you get it before the base stone starts coming up through the asphalt where it's cracking and things like that. You
know, I've noticed that they'll pave a road, and then somebody will ride through there with a trailer, and it'll scratch the road, and that's just starts the erosion faster than you could imagine. Isn't that so annoying?
Well, the big one that's annoying is you get the people that call and they complain about the potholes. So you go out there and you fix the potholes, you pave the road, make it a really, really nice road. Then they call back and they want you to come out there and do something and put speed bumps in because people are driving too fast.
And that was the speed, this pothole would have slowed them down anyway.
So, some people you can't please. I mean, you know, but...
Makes you want to say, how about if we come out and put some potholes in?
Yeah, that's what Gloria, she loves to tell them that's just upside down potholes, you know, or upside down speed bumps. Potholes are upside down speed bumps.
That's true, isn't it?
It is, but they don't like that answer, so...
It seems like it would be, how many miles of county road are you?
750.
Miles.
A little over 1,200 roads for 750 miles.
Do you pretty well know about the condition of all the roads?
No, there's no way. That's why we depend a lot on the public to call in. And usually every time we put something out there, and even on Facebook, you know, please, if you see something, let us know, because there's no way we can go out and look at every road.
There's not any, you'd have to pay somebody all day long to just drive them.
And a lot of the crews, when they're out there, they find things and bring it back in and write it up because they'll see something else on another road they had to go over to get where they were going for their
I bet
job.
you've got a list of things that you'd like to do if
yes.
weather and conditions are.
Oh, yes.
Now, the money you have to spend for this, to have like a budget every year?
You have a budget every year.
Where's that come from?
Our budget is based on 50%, about 50% from property tax, and the other 50% comes from gasoline tax. But it's not like at the beginning of the year they say, here's your pot of money. You get it as it comes in during the year. So at the end of the first month, you get some deposited in your account. Whatever the gas tax was or the property tax was, that's deposited into your account. And then the next month, whatever's made. So you have to be very careful about spending it through the year.
Boy, yeah.
So usually your high months, October and February, your high months for income on your property taxes and things. And of course, the gas tax, when we shut down for COVID, the gas tax fell way down. And a lot of people have misconception on that too, because they say, well, I paid $5 at the pump for a gallon of gas, so y'all must be making a lot of money. No, we get the same 17 cents per gallon, whether you pay $5 or $2. We still get 17 cents a gallon.
Is that the state that gives you that, or is it?
Yes. That all goes to the state, and then it's divided between the 95 counties based on the population and land area and different things.
Is that pretty fair, the way they do it?
Seems to be. Seems to work really good.
A good way to calculate it, I guess. So like Etowah, we get the same thing pro rata or something.
Right.
I don't know how else to calculate it, do you?
It'd be like on road miles and population and different things like that.
Now, if next month everybody quits driving, then you're 17 cents a gallon less. It'd be hard to budget for what you're going to do in 6 months because you don't know a lot of things.
Right.
So how do you do that? Just
Very careful.
kind of have a.
Very
I
careful.
mean, you'd only be able to spend what you made in October last year if you was going to be real cautious.
That's why a lot of times you'll see us, we'll pave in the fall, but then we'll stop and people will say, well, it's still good weather, why aren't you paving? It's like, well, because we got to wait for more money to come in, and then we'll pick up in the spring and start paving again.
Now, does oil affect paving prices, I
Yes.
guess? So you're getting a double whammy.
Yes. Yeah, we bid our materials once a year in February. And one thing on the asphalt is they have what they call an index. So you pay, say, $80 a ton for the asphalt plus the index. And it's a formula you go through to figure out how much more or less we pay for that ton based on the price of oil. So
It'd take all day figuring up that, wouldn't it?
it takes a while.
Is that something you do, or is it something you have in the
I have
office?
people, yes. Usually Kim and Gloria, they're our two financial people, and they take care of doing all that.
Has there been any counties that just overspent and ran out of money?
Oh, yeah.
What do they do? Just fake it?
No, you have a fund balance. You're supposed to keep 7% in reserve for just like things like that. But at the end of the year, if you don't have that 7% in there, then that's when your auditors step in and you get written up, and it looks real bad.
So the state, so a county road department almost has state overseers, I guess, as far as making sure everybody's got a minimum.
Yes, the state comptroller, and we usually have an auditor in our office about once every 2 months, and they'll come in and do spot checks. Just let me see this invoice and what you did here. And then at a 6-month period, they'll go more in depth, asking for payroll and invoices and things like that. And at the year end, they do a very in-depth.
I'd like that. I'd like somebody kind of overseeing, helping me keep up with it. I wouldn't look at it as negative.
No, we always
positive.
appreciate it, because a lot of times laws change and you're not aware of them, and they'll let you know, say at the 3-month mark, y'all been doing this, you really need to watch it because we need to go towards this. So it's very helpful.
Yeah. Now, when you were at the county, you were the county engineer?
County engineer for 18 years.
18 years. Boy, that's a long time. Who place did you take over?
Sam Heiberger was in there before me, and then they went for 2 or 3 years without a county engineer.
Wasn't there a guy that kind of did that interim? What was his name? It was Sam's assistant.
Doug. There was a guy named Doug.
Not Doug.
I don't know.
Keith?
Yes. He was the planner.
The planner, yeah. Mm-hmm. What was his last name? Whatever happened to him?
He delivers mail. He's our mailman.
Is that right?
Uh-huh.
I always liked him.
Mm-hmm.
He made things simple.
Mm-hmm.
But then, back then, it was easier to keep up with everything, wasn't it?
A whole lot.
But
now there's so much stuff going on all over. And
now, Bentley Thomas took your position, right?
he's the planner. They did not fill the county engineer position. They have a person they have on retainer that they just pay per job, but they don't have a specific county engineer.
It's working, isn't it?
Seems to be.
I bet Bentley has to fill in a lot of cracks.
Probably. I know I send him a lot of emails with questions, and he sends back information, so he does pretty good.
I think so, yeah. He's from Meigs County, isn't he?
He lives over in Meigs County.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's strange. We got a Meigs County resident, but it works too.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get excited about your job still?
Yes, very.
What excites you the most in the mornings, 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I say by 8 o'clock we've already got everybody out the gate, and 7 o'clock is exciting to me. I mean, just everybody getting into work, and it's like one big happy family, and everybody just seeing what everybody's been doing over the weekend or the day before, and you know, getting the crews going over work orders and everything. During the day, I love helping people calling, needing information, needing help, wanting things done, and just being able to serve.
So that you like it better than being the county engineer?
Yes, because my major was civil engineering with a major in construction and a minor in transportation, and most of my stuff is roads and bridges. I love roads and bridges. As the county engineer, I did roofs, I did playgrounds, I did ball fields, I did sidewalk, anything. Mm-hmm. So I'm concentrating more just on roads and bridges now, and that's my passion.
What made you want to be interested in roads and bridges?
I don't know. Back when I was younger, I knew I wanted to be in construction, and they had a degree at Chattanooga State. It was for a construction inspector or construction supervisor. So I went and talked to a what do you call the people, the guidance counselor or whatever there, and he said, no, that's not what you want to do. You want to be a civil engineer. I said, I don't have a clue what a civil engineer does, but let's go for it. So went from there and went on to UT Knoxville and finished up and loved every minute of it. So.
Are you familiar with the metaverse, that new thing they're coming out with where you go into this virtual world and you put on a helmet and you...
Mm-mm. I've never done that.
I hadn't either, but they're saying it's going to be like you can, go to concerts and see friends there that are inside the metaverse also.
Oh, wow.
Wouldn't that be weird?
That would be weird. Very weird. All the technology now. They opened the computer lab at UT the semester after I graduated. So I never had, I had like basic and
prior to that,
programming.
You didn't have CAD training or nothing
no.
like that?
Mm-mm. I got a lot of CAD training when I was at the Florida DOT, and then when I worked with a consultant in Chattanooga, I had a lot of CAD. So just kind of self-taught, watching other people.
I'll get plans, people will send the plans and then they'll say, oh, it's in CAD form, or put it in PDF, or CVS, or DWG, and I don't understand all that stuff. I just want a picture. I figured out that PDF is picture, and CAD I can't open. But why would I want to open it?
No,
I just need to see a picture.
Right. Just convert them.
But you can't convert them that easily. How do you convert them if you don't subscribe to CAD?
Right.
Now you got to make more money because your overhead's
That's
heavier.
Right. We don't. We use CAD some. I've got AutoCAD on my computer, and then we've got, of course, our GRS, the Esri, ArcView, and everything, and they kind of talk to each other. So.
Remember on the Brady Bunch when he'd sit in that his office and he'd have the drafting table and he'd draw that same picture that looked like the same thing he drew last week.
That's how I did when I was in school.
Yeah. That's a good way. You know, I can feel the job better when I'm doing that versus
get out the
sitting
little
on a
lettering
computer.
set.
Yeah, and I can feel it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But when you're doing that CAD thing, it's like it's not really real.
Mm-hmm. A lot of it's copy and paste.
Yeah. Now, this GIS, where I go on Google Maps, I can go on Google Maps and see my car in the parking lot. But they're not that. How often are they updated? Do you know?
I don't know on the Google.
Because you could just about look at a road from that if it was.
The only thing on the GIS, we've got the property lines, we've got the utilities, a lot of other information that we look at.
And it'll say in the detail, this is close, because the property lines aren't always exact.
Right.
They're just getting that from Stanley, I guess.
Plats, just like plats you send in.
That could be misdrawn.
That's why it's always good if your developer or your designer sends them a digital copy on a disk, either email or whatever, so it's got the coordinates on it and they can just pull it in the GIS and it's more accurate.
If somebody read the deed correctly.
There you go.
Because you got to read the meets and bounds. There's no telling how many deeds out there are actually written wrong. You ever thought about that?
Oh, I know. Some of the older deeds, I remember when we first started taking surveying, it was like start at the rock beside the old oak tree and travel towards the barn the distance it takes to smoke 3 cigarettes.
I've seen those, yeah.
And, so.
And the tree's not there anymore.
Right.
But, so somewhere along the way, the surveyor has to verify it. A surveyor, a licensed surveyor has a lot of power. They can say where the property line is, according to the way the deed reads.
Right.
Whereas you'd have to get another surveyor to disagree with him. I mean, they're more powerful than a judge.
And if the other one disagrees, you still got to come up with proof to.
Yep, they'd both have to have proof, so they're just better off to say, yeah, I agree with the other guy. Let me tell you about Capstar Bank. They're located in Nashville, Hendersonville, Gallatin, Athens, Madisonville, Sweetwater, Etowah, and in Cleveland at 950 25th Street and 3855 North Ocoee Street. I've used them. I like them. Give them a try. They're no problem. Now let me ask you this. It seems to me like one of the hardest jobs you'd have is snow days. Like, you got all the workers coming in. What do you have them do on those days?
Well, first of all, it's just like a guesstimate of when you're going to have snow days. If you listen to the weather, then they'll say we're not getting anything and you'll end up with something, or we're going to get 10 inches and you end up with nothing. So we usually go just on the side of caution when we start calling crews out. We've got salt spreaders. We've got several of the smaller salt spreaders that go in the back of pickup trucks. Then we actually got one that's a great big one that goes in the back of a dump truck. So we use the smaller ones in the subdivisions on the smaller roads, and we use the bigger one like on the long Tri-Valley, Chatta Valley, the longer roads, so they don't have to come back and fill up as often.
So you're in charge of that too?
Yes.
Boy, that's a lot of stuff.
Yes. And we've got all that. We've got all the traffic signals. We deal with those. Of course, we contract with Cleveland Utilities to take care of them.
But you have to call them and say, hey, we got a light out over here.
Yes.
They have a specific person that...
Tad Bacon is usually the one we deal with, and they have people on call.
So what do you do? Like when you contract with them, do you pay them so much a year, or retainer or something?
They bill us monthly, usually quarterly.
Per what they do? There's another unknown, isn't there?
Yes. a lot of unknown. Is the light going to go out? Is the loop going to go out? Is the
Gas going to go up?
Right.
Asphalt up?
Right.
And plus gravel. There's not a day goes by that I don't get a letter in the mail saying, sorry, we're going to have to go up on
Yes.
the raw materials and
Yes.
concrete and block and gravel.
And pipe
Pipe, yeah.
is doubled.
Used to, I'm doing a job right now that has some drain pipes, and usually it's not even enough to calculate. It's minimal on a house. It was $2,100 just for the house. I mean, I've got a new line item for,
Right.
before it wasn't even a line item.
Well, that's a lot of people, they'll, I don't want this water in my front yard in the ditch. Can't you put a pipe here? And you start calculating the cost of doing that. It's like, no, we can't.
Plus, where are you sending the water? Are you creating another problem over on the other side of the road?
Right. Now, most people want the water to run uphill, so.
Oh, yeah.
But no, a lot of people do want to, to tile their front yard, make it level, which I can understand. It'll be pretty and everything, but it's just not economically feasible to do that.
And I don't know if the county's responsible for the water before it gets to the ditch.
We can only
Yeah.
work in what the right-of-way, which each road has a right-of-way that's been like dedicated and accepted by the county commission. Most of them, the newer roads are going to be 50 feet, which means from the center line you go out 25 feet either side.
Assuming the road's not
Right.
to the one side or the other.
Correct. And that's where you're talking about like the surveys
Yeah.
and stuff and things like that. Some of the older roads, 18 feet, 24 feet, 36 feet, so you really don't have enough room to do a whole lot of work in that right-of-way. But the way the county law or the state law, it's the county uniform highway law, and it reads that you can only work on county property, what's inside that right-of-way.
Do you find that mostly, as a rule, that the telephone poles are on the right of way, right on the
Usually,
line?
they're usually real close.
As a default, you can kind of go with that, right? Is that pretty accurate, or is
It is, because you allow the utilities in the right-of-way, but say you're going to do work in the right-of-way and that pole was like right at the edge of the pavement, you could make them move that pole and they would have to pay for it. But if they're at the edge of the right-of-way and you have to buy more and then tell them to move it, you pay them to move it. So they're going to get it right where, for the most part, it's not going to cost them anything.
do they survey that and know that they're on the line?
Usually. They're usually pretty particular.
They have in-house surveyors, I guess.
Most of them do, yes. Yeah, they have engineering departments and surveyors and everything.
There's a lot that goes on during the day that just the average citizen driving doesn't have a clue what all's going to make all this stuff
Right.
happen.
Well, and that's several people that have worked there. Well, even he said that before I worked there, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things, and people come in too, and I don't like that ditch in my yard. Well, it's a platted drainage easement. Well, I don't like it. Well, did you look at your deed and your plat before you bought the property? No, but my realtor told me so and so, and it's like, well, you really need to look at the plat and deed. And that's what we encourage people too. If you're going to buy something that's on one of the county roads, bring it in. We'll sit down with you and look at it, and see what kind of issues you might have in the future, what things you need to deal with.
You have to really look at the restrictions, the recorded plat, and anything that's been recorded subsequent to that, which would be not in the deed book, but in the miscellaneous book.
Right.
So it's really hard to know exactly if that drainage going through your yard is not somehow or another off limits for you to do anything with.
Right. When you tell people, I'm sorry, that's outside the right-of-way, we can't do it, they get really mad. Usually, because they don't understand that part. It's like, well, it's right here next to the road. It's like, no, it's way back here off the road.
Even if it's a drainage easement, if it's in their yard, it's their responsibility to take care of it.
Right.
And then you get into detention ponds.
Whole
That's a
nother-
whole
yeah.
nother thing.
You'll enjoy this one. One of the issues that we've had lately, we've been dealing with some people in English Oaks. And I don't know if you know, when the road was built on one property line, and then you had lots on the other side. And then the property next door was bought by somebody that developed Savannah Ridge. So they put their road in the middle of their property, and then they've got bought lots that back up to the English Oaks Road. So the people in Savannah Ridge are putting driveways on English Oaks. And the people in English Oaks are saying, but our restrictions say that you can't do that. And it's like, well, they're not covered under your restrictions, and it's a public road now, and we can't prohibit people from connecting to it.
You can't make this stuff up.
No, I've been threatened they're going to sue me and everything else. I was like, I don't know what to tell you. Talk to the county attorney. This is it. So.
Well, if it borders a county road, you can't deny access. Unless it's a state highway. That's another issue, right?
Yes. Yeah, we have several state roads. And that's another thing people don't understand, the difference between the city roads, the county roads, the state roads, private roads. They want you to take care of them when, like Spring Place, Ladd Springs, Georgetown, Harrison Pike, are all state roads, and we communicate with the state. We'll send the work to TDOT, but we have no control over when they decide to do the project.
Have you ever seen a plat be recorded on a state road and where the state said you can't have access right here, but then the county or the city approves the plat with access right here, when really they didn't have the right to grant a plat that had access on the road right there?
I don't know if I've ever seen any approved that way. Usually, I know when I was in that, was you have to provide documentation from TDOT or whoever you're connecting to that you have permission to do this.
And if that's missed, it's a problem.
Yes.
Because they don't care. The state doesn't care. But then the property owner would say, well, I've got you can't deny me access. Yeah, we can, or they can. They did, but we allowed this plat to be recorded with access, and we had no authority. What would you do in that case? I don't know.
I have no idea. I'd say it'd end up being a big lawsuit.
It'd be a problem.
Yes.
That's where you get into these parallel roads where you can enter, where the state says where you can enter, but you have the parallel. Now you got to get the homeowners to agree to let this guy come across.
Right.
There's so much stuff that you could get messed up in this real estate business that you couldn't used to get it in. And Stanley, they started taking, when they had that 9/11, they started taking easements off their plats because terrorists would know where water lines and power lines were. So now you're really in the dark.
Well, I know we've always had an issue like the gas lines. They don't document where the gas lines are. It's not public knowledge because of that.
And it used to be on the plats. You could say, oh, there's a gas line. Now you wouldn't know if you were buying a piece of property. You would have no way of knowing unless you read every document that had to do with that was recorded.
True. Have you ever had to deal with the railroad?
Oh yeah, I messed something up one time and ended up in Atlanta at the Southern Railroad main office. That was a bad day, but I convinced them they were wrong.
I can believe that. I can believe that.
But I got out of it somehow. But it was because they've got as much as 100 feet on each side that you can't do nothing but look at. And if you didn't know that, you'd think that was your property, and you'd think they had 30 feet or something, but they've got like 100 feet.
We've been working in conjunction with Wright Brothers to do some work on Sheffey Lane. And that's our holdup railroad because they want it coordinated. They have to have their own special flagger there on site whenever you work. And you can only work between certain hours, and you have to pay this flagger to come just sit all day to tell you when the train's coming. And
Golly.
So,
Yeah, Sheffy Lane is that used to just be a pig trail, didn't it? And now, I guess I'm on it every 2 weeks because it's such a shortcut.
right. It's, yeah,
That will be a busy road one day, won't it?
every road is busy. That's what we're trying to do is get more east-west connectors, more roads up to grade on east-west connectors. If you think about it right now, you've got Dry Valley, Chatta Valley, Frontage, Mouse Creek, everything
Eureka.
goes north and south. But there's not many that go east and west. You got Hooper Gap.
They say that's because the ridges run north and south here, that most of the
Right.
roads fall.
But we need more east-west connectors to relieve some of the traffic.
And I don't know how to get it because it's property owners, except for like Sheffield Lane. That's only going to cut off a little bit. And most of that traffic's going to Charleston. Where are they going?
Right. Well, and they talked too about one time extending Lauderdale Memorial Highway all the way over to Dry Valley Road. But you'd have to go across the railroad tracks, so it was either a bridge or underpass or something, and that was just way high cost. So.
But boy, that would solve a lot of problems. I predict that Lauderdale and that Sheffield Lane and Charleston will really start expanding. Because where else are you going to go? I mean, I try to avoid Paul Huff.
Exactly. Maybe we can start moving it to exit 20 and filling up all that area.
I don't know about that because I had an old real estate guy. Remember Jim Elmore?
I don't think I ever met him.
He used to say, don't buy anything south of Inman or east of APD 40.
Okay.
Because most of the cities move towards the northwest, and they
Okay.
never reverse. So what we're getting on the exit 20 is Chattanooga coming north, and we're going towards Charleston. And that's because of the ridges and the way the water runs or something. I don't know exactly what it is, but it seems like that's the case. Now, what about this road going from Tom Rowland exit all the way to Georgetown? Is that the idea?
I've heard that idea. I haven't seen any plans or any preliminary or anything like that on it, so I'm sure they're still doing just like a preliminary alignment, but there'll be environmental permitting and
Oh man,
tons of stuff. So,
homeowners, it seems to me like it's just impossible.
well, I know when I started in '96 with the county, we were talking about the feasibility of widening Dalton Pike, just doing the preliminary alignment and stuff like that, and it's only been done a few years. Same thing with Georgetown. So it's a 15-year process minimum, unless.
And
there's-
Georgetown was supposed to, Charleston was supposed to, North Lee Highway was supposed to be ahead of Georgetown, but then they put Georgetown ahead of North Lee Highway. Well, I guess it really probably needed to be because Georgetown's got so much more traffic.
Right.
Where are all those people coming from? I mean, like at 4 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning, they're backed up all the way past Hopewell School. Where are they?
I don't know where all they're going to.
I mean, it's not like, I don't know why they're coming there now and they didn't before. There's not even any developments up there. So why are they coming that way anyway? How were they getting there before?
I don't know. Different way. I don't know. I'm like you. The traffic and because the new subdivisions and different things like that, but I don't have.
They're not even out there. There's nothing out there.
They're going somewhere.
Or coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
That they weren't before. You ever notice traffic, like you'll be on the interstate and it'll be backed up, and cars will be going slow, and you get up there and there's no reason for it. Why is that?
I don't know. There was a stop at one time, and it just kind of
But there's no
back.
wreck on the road. It's just now it's.
people looking to see what it was everybody else was stopping for, I guess.
I guess, but that is always. I think that's what it is with Georgetown. There's no rhyme or reason why. I think that people go where they think people are going.
Could be.
There's no other explanation.
I just think it'd be neat to have like a drone and watch it when you have these traffic jams. So like you're saying, you
Yeah.
can see, was there something here, and then it just slowly moves
You know
back.
that on that GPS thing on that when you punch in your location, it'll say traffic jam, and it'll be in red for so many. How do they know that? I mean, it's in real time.
It is, and it's neat because you can detour and go a different way, but I'm not sure of the technology.
How would
behind
they even know? And they'll say 23 minutes to get through here. How do they know that?
I don't-
And who are they?
Exactly. If we could figure that out, you have a lot of trucks. Change subject. A lot of trucks that are getting stuck on some of these smaller roads
Yeah.
because their Google Maps are not updated. They're putting it in their GPS. And for instance, it's bringing trucks to go to the South Industrial Park. It's bringing them up Southley Highway, Bancroft Road, Roark Lane.
Roark Lane.
Yeah, Spring Branch Road, which is a little
Yeah.
one-lane road, and it ends in there because the city, abandoned it inside the park and built roads from the other direction. So we're getting trucks stuck constantly, having to shut the road down and get wreckers in there. Same thing with Amazon. It's kind of gotten better with Amazon. We have all these big signs that say Amazon here, Amazon here. Well, the GPS was telling them to go past Amazon and turn on Mouse Creek Road and come in the back entrance.
Through mountain.
Because the new roads weren't showing up on
Yeah.
the GPS.
Because there's an old road bed that goes
Yes,
off of Mouse Creek.
but you can't get into Amazon
No.
that way. So they were going down that way and getting stuck down there and having to turn around in people's yards and everything else. So it's like if they have the technology to tell you when there's a traffic jam, why
Yeah.
don't they have the technology to update?
There's something out of whack there, and I don't know what it is.
It's frustrating.
When they get on Mouse Creek Road, I don't know where they'd turn around. They'd just have to go all the way down to Home Depot and come back up around.
Yeah, but they were backing into people's yards and trying to turn around in churches and.
Yeah, and at the Methodist church there, I guess, on Mouse Creek.
So
I guess if you'd driven that way a lot, a truck driver would finally figure it out. I wonder if there's anybody you can call and say, hey, GPS, this road's closed.
we tried to find a number and a name, called several different people, emailed, and never got any results.
Who do you call?
If you get on the internet, there was a place where you could email Google and stuff. But then the person we did talk to at one of the places said that the main thing was that the drivers weren't updating their GPS. Some of them were using the old GPS units and they weren't updating their software.
That's
So-
possible.
Not everybody was using it like on their phones for real time or anything like that.
Boy, everything's changing. I think they're going to come up with some way to control traffic a little more. Like I don't know exactly how they could do it. Like maybe utilize these railroad tracks more for get in a rental car that's driving along the railroad
Right.
tracks or something. Because those railroad tracks really messed up a lot of things for cities, like you're talking about Sheffield Lane. Now we got to deal with that. We can't even get east and west because that's probably not the only place that it's a problem. You can't go over it, you can't go under it. It's actually elevated above the road because you got a Sheffield Lane, you go up like that.
But you talk to the railroad and the railroad's going to tell you we were here first.
And they were, long time ago.
So,
Those railroad barons, they really knew what they were doing, weren't they? When they went through buying everybody's land.
definitely.
So I think maybe they will utilize the railroad tracks for more mass transportation. But then where are these people going if everybody's working from home? Are they just taking their kids to school?
I don't know, I guess. And like when I was young, it's like you rode the school bus or you walked. Your mom and dad didn't drop you at the front door and come back and get you.
No.
So I think a lot of it now is every parent's going to pick up every child, and we're spending money putting these long driveways at all the schools so that you can stack cars because everybody wants to get there 10
Yep.
minutes early and sit and block the road. So spending a lot of money and time taking care of
Plus,
that.
you got to keep the bus running for those that do ride the bus.
For sure.
Of course, if you ride the bus, you're adding 2 days to your school day, or 2 hours. Another get up and wait on the bus, and Boy, I used to hate riding the bus.
Oh, we rode it all the time, so I didn't care for it, but
Did you ride 12 years or 11 years?
11 years.
What was the bus number?
Oh gosh, I don't even remember. 13, I think. It was Mr. Housley.
That was in Red Bank?
Uh-huh. It was in Red Bank.
Did you have to stand up and hold the pole?
Mm-hmm. More than once. More than once.
On the courthouse square at 30 2nd Street is the law firm of Logan Thompson Law. Since 1965, they have served the legal needs for the good citizens of Cleveland Bradley County. If you've got a problem, they're no problem. Give them a call.
I don't know if you saw the plat that went through out there next to Taylor School, or it was rezoning, I'm sorry, with Mr. Stepp property.
I heard about it, but I never looked.
If all those townhomes go up right there, of course, they're all right next door to Taylor School. You know, Taylor School, they're...
They can't handle that.
Mm-mm.
That road can't handle it.
But you got it everywhere.
I know one thing. People that live down on Bates Pike aren't going to live in a townhome. I got enough sense to know that. I thought I did.
You got a lot of people moving in, though. It's like, I want to live in a townhome, but I want to be out in the country. You know, you look out and you see cows, so you're in the country, but you're in a townhome.
I just don't understand that. I just rather live in a small house on a small lot. Because, you know, neighbors they can be a problem. You ever wonder on these townhomes, if, say you own one side and I own the other, and there's a hailstorm, and you've got Farm Bureau insurance and I've got Allstate, and they're going to pay for my roof to be replaced, but Farm Bureau is going to pay for the damaged part, or vice versa. How are you going to solve that?
I don't know. I know I lived in a townhome for about a year, and the roof lines were different. And before I bought it, that was one of the things, you know, we looked at, and that's what they described. This is your roof line. This is what your insurance covers. So,
And you know, most of them record, most of your big cities record a maintenance agreement along with the deed so that it covers how to handle things like this. And so if you're not having that recorded with it, it's going to be a problem when they
later on.
Yeah, when they try to figure out, not only that, but what about hail damage to siding? You want to replace, you know, that siding, you know, my siding may lap over your property line.
True.
And it's not going to be the same color. It's going to be a little faded or whatever.
True.
So I'd just rather have a small house on a small lot and deal with my own stuff. So that's what I think about. Now, if you're in the city where maybe it's more congested and you need to live there, but I just can't see that for the county. But what I know, you know.
Well, I think too, you got a lot of the elderly people that are moving in townhomes. Like maybe one lost their spouse and they're downsizing, moving to that. There's less property to take care of, which is good for them because you can have a townhome with all people like this, and they can spend time together and kind of help each other out. So,
yeah, it certainly would have some advantages, but I can think of a lot of problems, especially out in the county where it's. Did that get past the Joe Stepp thing? I hadn't heard.
I do not know. I know it was brought up for rezoning, but I don't know if it passed. I think they were going to have another public hearing on it.
When you get sewer, that's what you get. If you don't want progress, don't get sewer.
That's true.
Where does Ocoee Water, where do they treat their sewer?
I'm not sure. They've had a couple of the smaller plants, like per location, and they will come and take care of them.
You know, septic's a big problem. They require so much more duplication area that it's really hard to get a septic permit anymore.
Right. Very. Especially where you're using up all the good property, and the only thing that's left is the hillsides, rockies, been disturbed, or things like that. So.
And then the different soils on that lot that perk or don't perk. I remember when I first started building, you went down to the health department. Bebo Harris would write you a septic permit.
I don't know that ever went out in the field and looked at anything.
He'd go out some, but it worked. So why all this other stuff,
Just like all this other permitting stuff that we have to go through. I mean, just think of all the stormwater permitting and everything you have to go through now just to do one project. So.
And the septic, the detention ponds, some of those are on lots that are just nobody's land, right?
Right. That's another, trying to figure out who's supposed to take care of them. Some of them have ended up on a lot with somebody's house, and that person doesn't know that, they know that it's a pond there, but they don't know you've got to take care of it, you've got to maintain it, you've got to keep the storage, get it cleaned out. And
cut the trees, because most of them
right.
you can't even tell they were retention pond.
Right. But I don't know that there's a clean answer to.
Well, nowadays you have to, record you have to have a narrative on there that says each lot owner is responsible for the detention pond and all that stuff. Now they got the first flush, filters, and all that stuff.
Well, I know at one time we looked at that, everybody that drained to that pond was a part owner in that pond. Mm-hmm. But if they didn't take care of it and you put a lien on the pond, you're sending 15, 20 people saying, I've got a lien on your pond. They don't care.
Unless you get ready to sell it, maybe.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the answer is to that, except I know they used to not have detention ponds.
Right.
So how did that work? Fine.
It did and it didn't. Now a lot of the drainage issues that we get, people saying I'm getting way too much water, I'm getting washed away, and it's usually from some of the older developments that didn't have detention, and they may have only built a couple of houses in them, and now the lots are all getting built out, and the people down the hill are getting washed away. But you can't go back and say, okay, Mr. Developer that's probably dead and gone, you got to go back and put a detention pond in here somewhere.
He's long gone. He's made the money and gone.
Right.
What about this pervious concrete? Is there any value in that, where the concrete's supposed to... But it seems like that would get clogged up through dust and dirt and wouldn't be pervious anymore.
The things I've seen on it, as long as you keep it flushed, clean it like you're saying, keep it washed out and things, pressure wash it, then it's supposed to work really good.
That would solve a lot of problems, wouldn't it? Do they have can they make county roads with pervious surfaces, reckon?
Probably not. The bearing capacity on it's not going to hold as much weight because it's more porous.
Yeah. It's going to make the subgrade loose or whatever, right?
That, and plus it's not going to be as strong because it's got holes in it instead of being a solid piece.
How about some of these, I saw where they're taking some of these old tires and shredding them up and putting them on. Is that, what's the possibilities of that?
There's several places that use that, grinding the tires up. They say it's expensive because a lot of them are the steel belted and they have to pull the belts out and things like that. But I've heard some good reviews on it. They just say the cost of it is a little bit higher.
But that would be pervious. Water could go through it. And if the structure down below it failed, then maybe it would flex over it or something.
I don't know.
I always think of walking on that with your bare feet and those steel radial tires cutting your feet.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully they would get the steel out of it. But
I don't know how you keep up with all the stuff you've got to do. It seems like that the road department could easily be divided up into two different categories.
We
like
cover a lot
one
of
for
stuff.
road and one for, I don't know, something else, but because you're having to solve the problems of past problems and future problems
Right.
of developments, but yet at the same time, you don't have much say-so in it.
Right. Well, that's dealing with the roads, dealing with drainage, dealing with bridges,
Employees,
box culverts, yes. I'm very, very blessed there. We have some majorly talented employees. We've got a lot of knowledge there. We've got crews pretty much. If it's a certain type project, we know who's going to work on it because they've got a lot of knowledge in that area. So there's a lot of talent. Mowers, we mow all the right
yeah, I
away.
forgot about mowing. You almost just gotta let them do their thing. You
They
can't
do.
get involved. You'd be micromanaging to the.
No, I don't micromanage.
You couldn't.
We've got tree cutters.
Tree cutters, forgot about that. Power lines.
Work with the power company. They a lot of times will call and say we're cutting trees that are going to fall on the power lines, but then they will fall on your road. So if you'll help us pick them up, then we'll go ahead and cut them. So we work with them on that. There's a lot of stuff.
I mean, you go by and pick up the limbs and stuff.
We have one of the grapple trucks, that reaches out. So we've got one of those, and it does really good.
How do you know where the piles of brush are? They call and.
They'll let us know ahead of time before they cut, and then of course they too have any of the crews that are out. If they see stuff, they let that crew know, and they just keep a list of it. And
So if Ronnie Pearson goes out, cuts a tree, and he says, "Dee, it's $1,800 and $24 if I haul it off," and I say, "I'll put it next to the road," then
we have to be that one that it has to be the utility company or one we've cut. We don't pick up. We don't have the.
you wouldn't be able to. You wouldn't even know whether they're there.
No.
Now, if you're in the city, I think they pick it up. But
They do, and that's a lot of people that are right there on the city-county line. They'll call and they'll say, "Well, my neighbor put theirs out there, and they came and picked it up."
Ah, yeah.
I said, "Well, the city can do that. They've got 3 or 4 of the grapple trucks, and we've only got 1. So they have a better way to handle it than we do."
Yeah. What if the pile's right in the middle?
We'll usually go ahead and get it. Yeah. Go ahead and give them the benefit of the doubt. and get
Now,
it.
the old road guys, say Ed Lewis and them, they had it easier, I guess, with roads. Of course, they had probably had to do more developing of roads than you would, but they had less responsibilities, maybe of stormwater and everything, right?
That, and they had less restrictions on what they could and couldn't do. Because of, in the 95 counties, because of things that were done in the past, they'll make laws to make sure that's not done again. And that's where the law came out of, you cannot work off the right of way. I can't go fix your driveway. I can't go build your subdivision road for you, anything like that. So they weren't as restricted then, but a lot of the things that got done have caused it to be more restricted now.
Now, subdivision road, you have to say, okay, we'll take it in if you do these things.
Yes.
And then you inspected it, and Doyle, is that his name? Doyle goes out, and didn't he used to go out and inspect them?
That's with the city. I think he works with the city, doesn't he?
McCullum works for the county, or he does
McCarley, Mac
McCarley,
McCarley.
Mac McCarley, yeah.
Yes, he goes out and looks, and
Boy, he's by the book, isn't he?
he lets Bentley know everything's ready or how it's going, and then they'll send it to me, and then we send it to the road committee, and take it to the road committee, and they review it and vote on it, and then they take it to the county commission.
And then after a year, or whatever the time frame is, then if something fails, then you got to add that another half a mile to your list of stuff.
Right.
Do you have a big map somewhere?
Wait, just on GIS pretty much. And
Used to, they probably had a map. Now
it's just getting too much for a map. So
now they used to be in the road department was where downstairs at the courthouse. Is that right? When Bob Hughes, remember him? Was it Bob Hughes?
Yeah, he was in office actually when I started there. I worked with him for 2 years.
Yeah.
But he was out at that house on Withrow Road, right in front of the Tri-State Center.
Yep.
And then that's where our office was when I took office. And we've been in our new office a little over a year, which is down beside the shop, right beside the KOA campground.
I've never been by there.
You
Does a
need to
lot
buy
of
there.
people go to the KOA campground?
Yes,
Are they like
they're always full.
travelers?
There's one section that actually looks like maybe it's people that work from out of town, like on construction projects and stuff,
Yeah.
because it's the same people there, or the same campers there. I don't know
Yeah.
about people. And then other sections, you'll see different people in and out, and campers are always coming in and out during the day.
I wonder if that's if you was to sit there all day, if it'd be, somebody said they have like a 2 week, you can only stay for 2 weeks or some kind of a, I don't know if that's,
I don't know.
I wonder if KOA is a franchise or what?
The person that owns this, they've actually got a house they built right next to our yard. It's on their property, on the KOA property, but they live right there on the property.
I
So
wonder if that's like a franchise.
I
or-
guess it is.
So they would, if you stayed the night for $20 for a space, they'd send so much to. Because at one time the KOA was a big deal, right?
Mhm.
That's where, like on Lauderdale, at the exit 33, that was a KOA.
That was a KOA, yes. Yeah, I know, and most people plot their trip out by where the KOA
That's right.
campgrounds are.
Then they used to have magazines where you could,
Mhm.
and they have little stores in them.
Mhm.
I wonder if that one has a store in
It
it,
does.
like a convenience store.
I think it's got a small convenience store and then like T-shirts and stuff like that.
It's almost like I don't want to say at one time, a KOA campground was similar to a Lake Winnepesaukah type thing. It had swimming pools, had a
Right.
playground,
Right.
and that's the only one we've got here.
Yes.
I'm curious who that, I'm going to go down there tomorrow, see if it looks like it's a franchise or what.
I think it would have to be. But just with the owner there. But he keeps it, he's done a lot of work in there.
It's right next to the dump, too. It's like, this is the worst place you can have one.
I know. That's another thing we're taking care of too, is the odor monitors for the
Oh,
landfill.
for Elmer. You know Elmer?
I do.
Yeah.
Yep. Kenneth Roark, do you know him? He is one of the citizens that's on our committee helping to do that stuff. So we've got 4 monitors out that monitor like the wind, the weather, the smell, different gases, and things like that.
It seems like that a lot of this stuff that we're trying to work out as far as a city or a county, it seems like we're trying to work around the problem that exists but not fix the problem. You ever wondered that?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
yeah, I was at church this morning. They were talking about getting food for the Ukraine people, and I thought, why don't we just stop the war? Just
Stop the war.
stop him.
Not have to worry about getting the
Yeah, I mean, why? You're almost enabling this. Let's get him taken care of, and then stop the
Everything else
war,
will
and
fall in
then
place.
we'll worry about the other stuff.
Right. Instead of waiting until
It's like
country's
seeing
devastated.
somebody stranded in a car and say, "Hey, I'll bring you a sandwich." Hey, how about fixing my car so I can leave here?
That's true.
Doesn't make sense, does
That's
it?
true. No, but there's a lot of things that make you go, So,
Do you now when y'all were at the house, y'all had a kitchen, right? That you could eat.
yes.
Did you have a kitchen at the
We
new
have
place?
a small kitchenette, yes.
Do you eat there every day or what?
For the most part, a lot of times one of the crews is going somewhere, they'll bring me something, or we keep stuff in the freezer, or
There's
take
nowhere
stuff
to go
home.
except the
Not
McDonald's
close.
there at that
McDonald's and Subway.
Subway, yep. Can you imagine that? Can you think back when there was a Ramada Inn there?
No,
Was it Ramada Inn or Holiday Inn at that exit?
I don't
I
know.
believe it was Ramada. What was it? Ramada Inn?
Holiday.
Holiday Inn. Yeah, it was
South.
north and south. North-south truck stop was there, right?
Stones.
Stones, yeah. That was a long time
A few
ago.
years back, huh?
Yeah, that's where all the police, they was open 24 hours. That's where all the police stopped, county,
Hung out.
yeah. But I don't know, everything's just changing so fast that I can't keep up with it.
Mm-hmm.
I've almost lost interest in keeping up with it.
You can't keep up with all of it.
What do you think's going to become of everything later? We're just going to get so busy and everybody just driving in their cars and
Be another Atlanta. I mean, we're working on the plans to widen the interstate right now.
I-75?
Mm-hmm.
God.
There'll be 3 lanes each direction for right now, but we got plans reviews. I think I've got another one Thursday.
Do they have to have there? Is it all within the right of way?
They're buying some right away through there in different locations.
And they're redoing the ramps, right?
Mm-hmm. But for the most part, they're staying in the right of way.
Is that because somebody studied it and said this needs more traffic? Because when you're going to Chattanooga, it's not too bad.
Not unless you get a wreck right there on White Oak Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And that backs up every day. So kind of giving the extra lanes for the trucks going up the grades and coming down the grades. And usually it feels like everything's behind. By the time you get 3 lanes in there, really you needed 5.
Yeah.
So, but with the money they've got, they're like, we can do the 3 lanes now and we'll go back later and do the 5.
The state.
Mm-hmm. That's all state.
Mm-hmm. So they would redo it from what, Chattanooga all the way to where?
Yeah, they'll pick up in Ooltewah where it's 3 lanes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the first phase is to exit 20 and then the second phase is up to exit 33.
And that's what, 10 years from now or 5 or?
Probably 8 to 10 on that.
That's going to really open up exit 20.
Yes, for sure.
Do you foresee that as being a real big deal, the county industrial park? And
I think it will. The North Industrial Park, the Hiawassee Industrial Park sat there for a long time, then all of a sudden Walker come in, and now you're getting a lot of development along Walker Boulevard with different industry moving up through there. So I think once that one catches on, it's going to grow fast.
But that exit 33 has really not done anything since Hardee's and Amazon.
Right.
It was sort of it just sort of died after that.
Right.
And then they put the school up there, which is, now you can't go fast.
Right.
It looks like they'd have put of course, what do I know,
Put it somewhere else.
or at least have the entrance on one of those side roads, the one behind it maybe.
Well, they've got an entrance on the back road.
Yeah.
But it goes out onto a narrow road that's not going to hold a whole lot.
It won't. But that's where the ball field is or something,
Yes,
right?
the ball field's back there.
Let me tell you about Gobbles Automotive. They're on North Lee Highway, just past Captain D's. They're family owned, they're family operated. My whole family uses it. They've stood the test of time. They will do you a good job. Give them a try. They're no problem.
Now they're doing things where they're having small schools everywhere instead of
Great.
large schools. I guess somebody's figured that out. That's probably better, I guess, right?
Possibility.
But when you get more people coming here, when you get industry, then you get more people, then you need more schools, and then you need more roads.
Yeah. That's just like Taylor. We were talking about Taylor. If all those townhouses build around Taylor, then the school's going to have to double size. But there's really not enough room there to double the size of the school. So it's just, and the comment we get a lot is, I pay my taxes, I developed this subdivision, so you're getting more tax money. And the road department, we get 7 cents off of every dollar, or I think it's 6.5 now. They dropped it after that last appraisal. So 6.5 cents off every dollar. So the money we get off of you developing a subdivision is nowhere near enough to take care of the road. And then most of your money's going to schools, of course, schools, and then your sheriff's department, different things like that. So people
And
just
the
know
road's the major thing, the main thing.
people know they pay their taxes, so they want to They want to get there.
What's your budget in a year's time, would you say?
I think it's about 6.4 million.
That doesn't seem like enough to do everything that you're doing, because that money goes so quick.
We usually set aside 1.5 million for asphalt, and then the rest of it, scattered out among the other things.
And so y'all bid that, who you're going to buy it from at the beginning of the year.
February. Every February we bid all our materials.
You ever have somebody bid slow, you think, boy, they can't do it for this.
And usually there's something that they're hiding, like I'm going to add. And we have had some where we got some lower bids on some products because they knew, just like we were talking about that index, if petroleum goes up or down, we're going to get paid extra because of that, so that's going to even us out where we need to be.
That's a scary thing to do when you're bidding
I
on
would
something
think
that
so.
big. Because asphalt would be how much in a year's time? Just the asphalt.
Right. We usually spend 1.5 million, and depending on how many tons that ends up being, so
Boy.
it adds up. And then when pipe, doubling up.
And labor. I guess labor is more expensive now to keep them, right?
Definitely.
Did y'all have much trouble during COVID? I guess y'all didn't, because everybody was working outside, right?
We did good during COVID. We did kind of stagger our work hours, have 2 or 3 crews or come in at 7 and a couple come in at 8, and then so we didn't have everybody in the shop at one time clocking in.
Did you get many that got COVID?
We probably had at least a third of the people we had that have had the COVID.
But not necessarily because they were at work, just got it from somewhere else.
Most people got it from their families or at church or things like that.
I believe the COVID's about over, don't you?
I hope so. I've had it my share of times.
Did you have it once or twice?
Twice.
Was any of them bad?
Mainly just tired. Tired and just didn't feel good. Just real tired.
I never got it, as far as I know.
But that's just it, as far as you never know.
Yeah.
That's what somebody told me one time. They said, if you don't want to ever catch COVID, don't go get tested.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people walking around that have had it, didn't get tested. So
That's one thing about going and getting physicals every year. If there's nothing wrong, what am I going to do? I'm a hypochondriac anyway.
you don't want them to tell you something else.
No, I got it. If I see somebody limping, I start limping.
That's bad.
I'm serious. I really
bad.
do. They'll be limping. I'll start limping.
Then you got to go to the doctor and find out.
Well,
what's
I realized, I'm just limping because he's limping. So when you go, like, when you're out driving, the rest of us are listening to the radio and watching the scenery, and you're looking at ditches.
We're looking at ditches.
You can't help it, right?
Bridges, roads. I've made him stop on the side of the road before so I can climb down and look at a culvert.
To see if it's clear. That's almost the big negative of the job, that you can't get in your car and drive without having that over your head.
I don't know. It's fun sometimes. When I worked for the Florida DOT, it was mostly bridges and stuff, and I would have my mom, when I'd come visit, I'd have my mom with me, and I have to stop and look at bridges. She's like, could you just drive normal one time instead of stopping and looking at everything? So,
What made you want to be interested in bridges?
I've just always loved them. During school, people would talk about concrete and stuff. One of the things we did during college, they have a Southeast Regional Conference for engineering students. And it's the American Society of Civil Engineers sponsors it. And one of the competitions is a concrete canoe. You have to build a canoe out of concrete, and you have to be able to put 2 people in it and paddle it and race it. So that was
But that's more displacement, I guess, right? Or whatever.
But a lot of people don't understand that. They're like, concrete doesn't float. So the whole thing about concrete and about the bridges, the interactions, your pin joints, your roller joints, just the expansion and contraction, and just how everything works together, and the different types of construction, the segment, the poured in place.
Do you have an erector set?
No.
That's the way most people learned it, right?
Right.
Erector set?
Yeah.
And then Lincoln logs,
Yep.
and then Legos.
Right. No, I've got little toy dump trucks and rollers and front end loaders and stuff. But
Tonkas? Tonka toys?
yeah, I used to play with Tonka toys. Yeah.
Well, if you had one of them today, you could sell it for a lot of money,
Oh,
couldn't
no,
you?
I know. No, now when we buy a piece of equipment at work, you know, they come in and give you this price. And it's like, okay, we get it down to what we want. It's like, now I have to have a toy replica of this one too. So that's part of the deal. So we've got, you know, the little dump trucks and the great alls and everything sitting on.
If you go to a guy that sells gasoline, he'll always have a toy truck behind his. It's like a rite of passage. Why is that?
It's just something neat that everybody else doesn't have. I mean, you don't have one.
No, but I wouldn't know why anybody'd even want one. I guess it's just a.
I got all kinds of toys in my office. You'll have to come check it
Yeah.
out.
Do you think that you're going to keep this job for ever
I would hope to.
till you retire?
Yes. I've always been very career oriented. Never had kids. I've just always been career. So I love working. I love what I do. Just turned 60. I'd hope to have at least another 3 terms. That'd put me to 72. Maybe after that, I don't know. But that's my goal. That's my goal.
How long have you been in this? Is it 2 terms or 1?
2. I've been in here for 7.5 years. September will make my 8 years.
Seems like longer than that, doesn't it, for some reason?
Some ways it does, some ways it doesn't. Yeah.
That would have been what? 8 years ago would have been.
2014. I started this job in 2014.
Before that, you were still at the court
I started at the courthouse in '96. So quite a few years.
Seems like longer than that. That part seems longer for some reason.
26 years altogether. When I first started, I'm thinking I won't stay here that long, but
Were you glad to get back to Cleveland after being in Florida?
yes.
What part of Florida?
Tallahassee.
That's not near the ocean, is it?
It's pretty close. It's right above Panacea and stuff, not far from Panama City. And I worked in a lot of the areas. I worked in Panama City. I worked in Tampa. Worked in Fort Lauderdale, Alligator Alley.
But wasn't the weather great
Yeah.
and warm?
I did like the part about going to the beach on the weekends and, you know,
What did you not like about it?
being so far away from family. My nearest family member was 400 miles away, so that was the hard part.
How did you end up there?
When I got out of college, put in resumes everywhere, and I had a good job offer from there. They had a training program. You spent the first 18 months working in all the different departments they had, so you got to see what everybody did. Worked in the testing lab. I worked with traffic signals. I worked with testing, environmental, every department they had. So you got to see what everybody did and how it all fit together. And then I was put in the construction office where I was a project engineer there. So, and I spent the rest of my time there, actually out in construction on roads and bridges.
So you enjoy construction. You're just not necessarily in it for the profit end, more of
Right.
just of enjoying the
Right.
process.
I do, yes. Like to see a set of plans go to the final thing, you know. See
To
it
the
built.
ribbon cutting and all
Yeah.
that stuff. Now, the county commission, do you ever have to go and say, hey, I need more money, I just can't do this? We're out of money?
We do, but they don't ever do it, so.
You always hear the police needing money, the school board needing money, but you don't really hear of the road department needing money.
We try to stay within our budget. Whether, you know, like we said, just kind of finagle things around, and you can't do it till you get the money in. So just.
And I
being
guess
very
with the
careful.
road, it has you need to fix it, but it could go another year or something like that.
That's a lot of, like you're talking about, seeing patches in roads and things that we need to get this taken care of, but we don't have the money to do the whole thing, so we'll just do a patch for now, and we'll come back later and pave over the whole thing, or we'll change the tiles out now and we'll patch that section,
Yeah.
and we'll come back later and do the whole road.
So it's just a process. Now, if somebody else was coming in here new, they would know where you started or where you stopped or the plan. It would almost be like starting a whole new thing over.
Well, it would and it wouldn't. When I took office, person before me didn't have any type of record retention policy. They kept their work orders and their records and stuff for 7 years, and then they got rid of them. So one of the first things we tried to do was implement a records retention policy. So we've gone to a digital, everything, all of our work orders, once they're done, they're scanned in, everything's documented. We've got a program that we work with the CTAS, which is the County Technical Advisory Service. And everything's put in the computer, and it's kept up to date with like the cost of, say, using a bulldozer is $55 an hour, or using this. And each one of your employees, you keep their pay rates in there and everything. So when you get done with a project, you can print out a sheet, and it tells you exactly what materials you used, what equipment, and exactly what it cost you to do that particular project. And we've got all of our work orders put in there now, and so we've kept up. We went back and got the 7 years that was still they had there, and put those in. So we've got a pretty good supply of records where you could go back and look. But one of the big things, I started looking, trying to figure out, okay, this tile needs to be replaced. Well, when was it actually put in? How many years is it lasting? Well, you only had 7 years worth of records, so you couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So that's one of my goals, is to have a continuity of records where if somebody does come in, they can look and say, what was the last thing we did on this road? Well, we did this, 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 and this. And then two, all of this is going into right now it's an Access database, and we're getting ready to switch to an Excel database, and it's got an app that goes with it where we can have the crews actually have iPads and not deal with paper anymore at all. It's all done right there on the iPad, and it goes straight into the system. So that way, all that can be then tied to the GIS system. So you come in and you want to look and say, I want to know what's done to this road in the last whatever years. You can just say, I'm right here, what's been done, and it's going to show you everything that's been done. So if somebody that comes behind me, it's going to be easier to pick up on what needs to be done, what hadn't been done, you know, what the process was.
A road department seems like it's something that's it's a almost needs to be eight years. Does it make sense?
Yes. Absolutely.
Because of the work you do is, I mean, we could get a rainy season and not be able to do nothing for
Absolutely.
3 months, you know.
Yes.
But you keep your office calm. You don't hear anything. You don't, you know what I'm
That's
saying?
good.
It's, you know, I guess you don't, I don't know if that's just your office, the thing of it, or if I assume it's something you're doing that's keeping it calm. Yeah.
Just try to, big thing we tell everybody is treat everybody the way you want to be treated. If you treat everybody the way you want to be treated, then most people are happy. Whether you can do something for them or you can't do something for them. If you treat them the way you want to be treated, you know, and talk to them decently and explain it and things, most people are happy, and there's not really anything to come out of it.
Do you get people calling you right now during an election because they're thinking, oh, she'll do it now because she's up for election?
We have had some, yes.
You see through that pretty quick,
Yes,
right?
Yes.
Do you ever think, oh, shoot, what if I don't win?
I had a man tell me the other day, well, in fact, when I was telling you on English Oaks, he goes, well, I'm just not voting for you. And I said, I'm so sorry, you know, I wish, you know, I'm going to ask for your vote, but I still can't do this. I just legally cannot do it. I can't tell this person they can't have access to this public road. So that's your opinion. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'd be more apt not to vote for you if you tried to do that. You know, there's two sides of it.
Right, right.
But that's another thing. Remember when Von Hamilton was going around town, he was so upset about subdivision regulations. Remember that?
I don't think so.
It was probably, you were probably in Florida,
Okay.
but I remember he was really upset about that. And I guess he saw all this stuff coming, but you just have to have it, don't you? You have to have these rules. The bigger we get.
And then some of the other problems we're running into now is, just like you're saying, back before they had subdivision regulations. You drew out a plat and you took and had it recorded. And That was all there was to it. You didn't have to build the road. You didn't have to put in utilities. You just
Didn't even have to have access. It could be a private road.
Exactly.
Think about those.
So now we have people coming in and they're saying, well, I bought these 2 lots back in the back of this subdivision and it says there's a road back there. So aren't you going to build the road?
Yeah, and it's platted like that road we was talking about over Mouse Creek Road. What's the name of that? Zion Road or something? Monte Carlo. Monte Carlo Estates. If you looked on the plat right now, it would show a road directly into this, and there's never been a road there.
But if somebody bought one of those lots back in there, that was its only access.
I bought one.
Did you sell it?
No, I still got it. It has a chimney on it. It was an old house. There was an old house on it.
Oh, wow.
And there's a chimney on it. And but it's connected to Laguna Drive.
Okay.
But nobody would think that lot is in that subdivision. What are the, you'd never dream of that. But there's so much that goes on. What do you do about these private roads when they have 4, private road that you could have 4 lots on each private road with an understanding that you'll gravel it and they'll do this. And people probably think they're county roads.
They do.
Don't even have sewer or water on them.
Yeah, we get a lot of calls on those. We have to explain to them they're private roads, and we'll pull up their deeds and show them where you on the road, and you have to take care of it. It's not our responsibility.
And you almost have to literally pull their deed to show them, because they're not going to just believe you. You guys say, come in and we'll show you that.
Well, a lot of times we'll just get them and email them to them. I said, just give me your email address. I'll email you the information. It'll show you what you need. And the next thing out of their mouth is, well, our realtor told us.
Yeah.
So
that's why those realtors have to go to those classes, because they got a big responsibility with telling people stuff. I mean, they're on the front lines of that stuff, and they're not really attorneys or lawyers. They're just supposed to know it. A realtor has a lot harder job than they used to.
There's a lot out there.
What's the worst thing about your job?
Dealing with personnel issues. That would probably be the worst, and election time.
Because you're trying to work
Yes.
and run.
Yes. And we work 4 days a week. We're Monday through Thursday. And a couple of people have offered to take off during the week and go out and campaign, but then you have the public perception of your employees are out campaigning on county time. Whether they are or they aren't, there's still that perception.
Even if it's on a Friday, because they may not know you work.
Right. So, we work, and then Fridays and Saturdays we stay extremely busy.
You almost just have to run on your record.
Yes.
On your history. And that's about all you can do, isn't it? Did you door knock now? Or?
We have a couple. I'm kind of on the borderline, and we keep going back and forth. He says, you need to knock on doors. And I said, people don't want you knocking on their doors. With the COVID and plus the time frames, we don't get off work till 5. If I go knocking on somebody's door at 7 or 8 o'clock, they don't want that.
Yeah. You go on Friday, they think you're supposed to be at work.
You go on Saturday and they're going to ball games, or,
You go on Sunday, they think you're an atheist.
Exactly. So I don't know that there is a good time. So.
But you almost literally have to just run on your, and it'd be like me saying to somebody, hey, do you have anything wrong with your house I need to fix? You'd be, every door you knocked on, you'd have a job you had to fix, a road tile or check a ditch out.
We've got a notepad we carry, and I've got several listed, where we've talked to people, stop and talk to people.
So after May the 3rd, there won't be another opponent.
Right. May the 3rd will be it. So.
I don't know why anybody'd want that job that didn't know about it. It'd be like Stanley Thompson's job. Who could even figure that job out anymore?
Nobody.
He's got a lock.
Whoever's worked with him. And I think that's why I transitioned into this one so easy, because as the county engineer, I worked with Bob Hughes, I worked with Tom Collins, I did a lot of their design, their engineering, their permitting, helping with projects. A lot of their personnel came up to the office all the time asking questions, help me with this, help me with that. So I knew a lot of what they were already doing, so it was easy to transition in.
I guess the sheriff would have a harder job, right?
I don't
I
think
guess.
I want his job.
Because he'd have, he's got the jail and the.
Well, he has to depend on his other, he's going to have a group of people that he can strongly depend on to take care of those different sections. There's no way you can do it all yourself.
Thing that helps him is that's all he's ever done. Period. He hadn't done nothing else. He's just been law enforcement.
You don't hear about him a whole lot either.
He is extremely good at what he does, isn't he?
I've heard a lot of compliments.
Well, I wish you luck on your election, and I have
Well, thank you.
no doubt that, like I was riding with that guy yesterday, we've rode every road on the northeast quadrant of Bradley County. I can tell you every pothole in the road. I can tell you those white numbers. I can tell you where the numbers are, where there's shoulders, where there's not shoulders. And we couldn't think of one road that needed anything.
Well, good.
I wished I could think of one, but
Well,
there's
if you
not
think
one.
of one, you can call me.
Maybe we're on the wrong end of town, but
When you come
but
down
that's
to
the
Decatur-
problem. That's probably the least trafficked, wouldn't you say?
On the north end?
On the northeast end, that's probably the least
Probably.
traffic.
Probably. Yeah, frontage road, you get a lot of traffic. North Lee, of course, that's theirs. But yeah.
Mouse Creek's busy, isn't it, anymore?
Oh, yes. It's horrible.
They need to take Hooper Gap all the way over to
Yes.
North Lee Highway.
Yes. That would be awesome.
That'll probably never happen, will it?
It would, if you get a developer that owns the property between the two that would be willing
I
to
think
help.
it's just one, Alan Jones.
Is it?
I think he owns about everything.
Well, we just need to get with him and see about taking a road on through them. And then just trying to figure out where we're coming up with the funding.
Yeah.
Because that'd help a lot, taking a lot of the traffic off.
You got anything you want to say to the voters since you can't go out and you can't see them? You want to say, hey, I really want your vote.
Hey, you definitely want your vote. I think we've done a good job. I think we've got a great team. I think we've made a lot of progress. We've got a lot more things that we want to do.
No problems?
No problems. Just a great team. I can't stress that enough. When the road department, there is no I. It's not, I have not done anything. It's not an I. It's a we.
It's an R.
Yes, it's a we. We as a team have made a lot of progress and just a lot of talent, a lot of dedication. So I would really appreciate everybody's vote and to be able to continue this journey.
On May the 3rd.
May the 3rd.
Early voting is when?
April 13th through April the 28th.
Sandra, it's always good talking with you.
Thank you, sir.
Good
Appreciate
luck.
it. Thank you.